doesn't exist.
Good directions you gave them.
This first piece is for a friend of mine who's who stutters, and who's no longer with us. I wish he was, because he probably could have brought some good into this world. It's entitled "Feel So Secure in." When I was 13, I knew a kid named David who was way ahead of his time. Young as he was, he managed to live a lifestyle somewhere between sanctimonious and sublime. He was into Gary Newman, Ian Dury, and the Talking Heads long before it was the hip postmodern thing to do. No one understood him, but no one put him down because of the genius in his persona shining through. He had a smile for everyone, never snubbed his nose, but somehow remained attached. Even the toughs respected him, for the Christ-like look in his eyes warned them that they were no match. And all the girls secretly adored him, though they didn't know why, because he didn't fit the acceptable mold. He ignored them all anyways, because he preferred to catch frogs, which at that time were more fun to hold. He wasn't that close to anyone, really, even friends, and that includes me. The last schoolmate to see him said he screamed, "I'm gonna die," as he hung by his knees from a tree. The foreshadowing frightened us, but 2 days later he went through the windshield of his old man's car, because some clown had decided it was only 2 miles between the safety of his driveway and a recently departed bar. I didn't learn too much at the time, aside from a redundant lesson in kids can be cruel. Half of them wrote him off as a freak, the others bitched about wanting the day off from school. Me and Mike C. went to the wake, but it's hard to grieve over a closed casket of inexpensive wood. We met his parents for the first and last time, and to us, the endless procession of "we are so sorries" didn't seem to be doing much good. Afterwards, we walked side by side to the Berg, and we really didn't know what to say. So we hit the store 24 for some nachos and a Coke, and then headed home to go play. And David, don't think us callous, but we were just kids, and we didn't know how to deal. In fact, I wish I could go back to those days when I wasn't informed how to feel. And I know it sounds cliche, man, but believe me, ignorance is truly bliss. But seeing you didn't have a chance to learn that yourself, I'll give you a rundown of the things that you missed. You missed the overhyped excitement of your first time, but really you didn't miss much. It was over in seconds and consisted mainly of inadequacy, accompanied by eyes full of fear and fingers that clumsily touch. You missed the realization that your parents aren't special, just fallible humans like you or I. You missed the challenge of watching them wither away, subconsciously waiting for them to die. You missed the endless train of love's gone wrong, grasping for once passionate fingers that now limply fall. You missed the departures of your so-called best friends who no longer return your calls. You missed a continuous series of shit jobs to pay for an education that earned you a degree in an interview suit. To attain another series of shit jobs in fancy office buildings where the money's better, but you have to sell more of your soul to boot. And you missed waking up wrapped in sweat-soaked sheets, fearing this time I'm really gonna unhinge. Feeling worse than the night before when you decided you couldn't feel any worse and decided to go on that binge. Ah, but hail Abraxas, that clever god of light and dark, snatching up everyone from Demian to Dean. And even nobodies like yourself, David, and every hint of talent in between. They say that only the good die young, my friend, and that the reaper always comes without warning. If that's the case, I must be one evil son of a bitch, because I keep waking up every morning. This next piece is about my hometown. Some people think I'm getting down on my old hometown. But actually, I learned a lot there, grew up real quick, and I'm glad I did, because it gave me a broad mind and an empty wallet. So, from my hometown, this is entitled "Thoughts on the 5th Street Bridge." The 5th Street Bridge isn't really on 5th Street, but nothing in this town is as it seems. 5th becomes Harvard, becomes a cemetery path, cutting through the forgotten in their dreams. It rests 100 feet above the Nashua River, a miniature Merrimack where the rats come to bask. Not as wide nor as deep, but lined with failed mills once employed to perform the same task. When I was a child, I used to peer through the cracks, quarter-inch slots that would allow me a peek at the rushing water of orange or green or whatever color it was that week. See, the paper mills used to empty their dye vats directly, creating a technicolor stream that would wind through the heart of our city, like a Dickensian opium dream. But the EPA came and cracked the whip, and the paper mills moved away. The environmentalists must have gone along for the ride after they had their self-righteous say. It was nice to see clean water and a handful of ducks, or to observe a school of fish swimming, but I think most people preferred the hundreds of jobs and the housing and food that went with them. The bridge had twin arches, 5 stories tall, and we'd scale them to prove we were tough. From the top, you could see all of Main Street. You see that once, and you've seen it enough. On a hill rests our high school with its one-third dropout rate in a building almost 60 years old. A holding pen for the lower middle class, but oh, what good workers they mold. The lucky went to college or the service, others found trades and went to prison, no doubt. But it really didn't matter where you ended up, just as long as you found a way out. And you could see our 3 high-rise buildings, elderly housing, monoliths of dingy one-room flats. People here either dead, dying, or wishing that they were. This burg has a way of doing that. On one side of the bridge sits a place called the Patch, the supposedly bad part of town. But it doesn't seem all that different than any other neighborhood ever since they closed the factories down. On the other side of the bridge is the Cadillac dealership. You can bet that won't be here for long. Because every business you see has gone Chapter 11. If you're masochistic, you can buy them for a song. But the most interesting aspect of this landmark is its appeal to the suicide crowd, a worthy departure spot for the down and out who once were considered quite proud. And I don't think it's the height that attracts them, for you can leap without the least bit of survival fear. It's the fact that when their bodies float to the surface, the river will take them someplace, any place but here. As Rick indicated, my mom likes me, and she's been after me for years to write a poem or a story or a card or something about her.
Postcard, man.
But it took me quite a few years, and I don't know if she's happy with this, but if she's not, she's going to have to pump some serious Jericho before she gets another one. So. This one's entitled, That's Alright. I don't know how you made it through the nightmare of those early years, but I suppose that's your story to tell. I dipped my toe in the sticks and winked at the devil, but you swam the deepest lakes of hell. 16-year-old runaway dropout fighting to earn your bread, stepping over failure like cracks in the pavement and keeping those bright eyes straight ahead. You walked into that doctor's office, asked for a job, no experience, but a smile as wide as they came. And the college girls in the lobby with the resumes to the ceiling all marched off, cursing your name. You eloped with that mechanic, soon-to-be soldier, traveling papers stuffed in his pants. Made love on a cliff overlooking a mill town and an impoverished honeymoon dance. And you stayed by his side, though he went far away, and you tried to be the ideal wife. You reared 2 boys with mischief in their eyes and proudly claimed they were your life. One, a cynical, sarcastic writer, a rebellious artist, the other. You taught us that family always comes first, and you never take sides against your brother. I know I was a hellion, but that's not your fault. Believe me, you tried your best. Still, the blue lights in the driveway and the phone calls after midnight must have caused you continuous unrest. And when I moved away, you somehow came with me. Whenever I was cut, you bled. When I swung low, that phone would always ring. You knew when there was something wrong with my head. And I still come home with scars on my forehead. He's been scrapping an old Irish curse. And the bags under my eyes paint portraits of my evenings, tipping back bottles or worse. And you know I bedded down half of those women I innocently referred to as friends. But you know it wasn't serious because my heart's so afraid that if broken once more, it won't mend. And I know you're certain that no woman out there will ever be good enough for your baby. Working you right and you're going to be famous. I smile across the table and say maybe. And sometimes I curse your courage and convictions when I want to dive towards the weak. Give up on this grind, sleep in the streets, live hand to mouth, tongue in cheek. And I won't pretend I haven't thought of turning my back and putting an end to this life. Sitting in the dark in an ancient tub, warm water contrasting the cold steel of a knife. But I feel like a coward after all you've been through. I've got no right to cash in my chips. Words of wisdom and kicks in the ass as tough as the kisses are tender that pour off your salvaging lips. 100 tricks up your sleeves to keep me going. I'm sure you've still got a secret or two. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, Mama. Any way you do. Mom liked Elvis.